Okay, I'm back. I'm not gonna lie. I've started this video 3 times. I have a 6.5 hour video I've not uploaded. I just canceled another video I just started and stopped. There's so much information, conspiracies, people's thoughts um, about what happened to Charlie. It's like, where do you even begin? So I decided, I guess, that instead of backtracking and going over all the other stuff that people have gone over the last several weeks, that I would try to bring to you things that make me question the narrative, right? Real questions that just do not make sense. And I think that's where I'm going to stick with it. I think that's the one that makes the most sense for me. So that's what we're going to do. And yeah, it's a difficult one, but it's important. So a few days ago, Candace came out with this text thread where she had told people and had been telling people for over a week that, well, probably, no, good grief, has it been that long? Charlie died a month ago tomorrow. So for weeks, she was telling people that Charlie was under immense amount of pressure from the pro-Israel lobby to distance himself from certain people and his friends. And they went on X and everywhere else on YouTube videos calling her a liar, saying drop the evidence. Well, she did do that a couple of days ago. She drops this message thread, and in it, it says that he lost another huge Jewish donor of $2 million a year because he won't cancel Tucker. And he said, I'm thinking of inviting Candace. See, this has been redacted. Somebody goes, ugh. Then Charlie says, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot, will not be bullied like this. He's saying he's being bullied, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro Israel cause. This is him saying he's leaving the cause. It's not, he didn't say I'm thinking about it. He's not saying I could. He didn't say if they don't change their ways. He's saying he's leaving it. And then somebody comes back asking not to invite her, blah, 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 maybe in a bit. Again, kind of trying to control him yet again on what he should and shouldn't do. Remember everybody said remember that Bill Bear, whatever went on with Patrick Bet David said that Candace and him weren't even friends anymore. And then she's like, really? I went to 6 different locations with him last year on a Live Free tour. Like, that's interesting. So, yeah, there went that whole narrative. I think this is important to include too. This is TPUSA confirming that they're genuine. The actual PR guy, the spokesperson for TPSU, he said it was his screen grabs. He says
were in fact real. He did this on the Charlie Kirk show. And actually, I don't think it's dramatic to state that this may be the first respectable measure taken by Turning Point USA executives since the passing of Charlie Kirk, like the first respectable response. And yeah, I thought that was, I will compliment that. Just the action of Andrew Colvett addressing it head on instantly was good. So let's hear Andrew Colvett in his own words.
But I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there.
Notice he just said, I'm excited that the truth is out there. He's praising. That sounds like he's praising the fact that she's released them. Now that everybody knows that and they're out there. What he just said, I'm excited that they're out there.
First, want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange. And
now he says he didn't share it because it was a private exchange. Well, he blows that narrative up in just a minute. Private exchange.
I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public.
It didn't comport with things that were already public, meaning it didn't fit the narrative, meaning that Charlie had not changed his stance. This is where I'm confused. If this is his friend and he thinks a lot of him, What would be more important, to set the record straight on what was really happening in Charlie's life, or let people continue to be misled? You can all make your decisions there.
To not betray my friend's trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because
Betray his friend's trust. Your friend's gone, honey. Somebody took his life. I think you'd probably be more concerned about people getting to the bottom, getting to the bottom of it. Just throwing that out there.
it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to
Again, with that 33, it wasn't 33 hours. It's like 31.
Get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people.
Then listen to it. I shared it with a few people. Few people. Now, if you're handing it over to law enforcement, then you give it to one detective. But he says he took screen grabs of it, shared it with a few people. He was real concerned about that privacy of his friends, right?
Don't know where it went from there, apparently. But here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but
not his to share publicly, just share it to a bunch of other people. Okay.
One of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care. We're not investigating every lead. We're not looking under every stone, and that somehow we're just like, sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it, and no stone unturned. I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that part alone, but I have more to say.
I mean, they're just basically patting themselves on the back. We care. All right, I've changed my mind. I'm going to add this little part here too, because at least he says this part.
Who is asking
credit where credit is due.
Questions and looking for answers. All right. And I will say that text chain is consistent with public frustrations that he voiced many times. And I know, Blake, you were in the trenches on a lot of this stuff because we were workshopping how we were going to do the tour and what he's going to get asked about Israel, what was he going to say. And this is consistent with things that he told his friends, people that are, in the wider movement, about his wrestle that he was going. And so I just want to say, what is the truth about
his wrestle that he was going?
The way Charlie...
That right there shows nerves. He's nervous about talking about this. He's not even finishing sentences, and he's a PR guy. He's a spokesperson. He's nervous about saying it. He's nervous about saying this.
He felt about Israel. Well, it's complicated and it's nuanced, and it was a wrestle that was going on for months. And it's probably somewhere between the BB letter and the text.
It was somewhere between the BB letter and the text. Charlie said this the day before he was killed, that he was leaving the cause. And he's like, it was somewhere in between. That's what makes it so hard to believe. It just does. Unfortunately. This is something else that she came out with, this photo of him apparently being at Dairy Queen.
And as we broke the story,
that same day, a few hours later,
Tyler was seen at Dairy Queen. And what was he seen doing, as I told you? Dumping clothing in the cemetery beside that Dairy Queen. So I think that is what his involvement is limited to. That was his job, to get rid of clothing.
She said he was seen dumping clothing next to that Dairy Queen. She said that's what she said. She thinks that was his job.
It's completely a nonsense to think that a person who had never killed anyone was high on adrenaline after a kill and decided to eat Dairy Queen. That doesn't even make sense biologically. And
it's weird too. And listen, this is my symbology thing coming out just a tad bit. I'll try to stay away from it. But it is weird that they all said that the exit wound wasn't there because Charlie's bones, he was a man of steel. And you have this picture with him standing in front of the Superman poster. That's just weird. And also, it's the same poster that was tweeted out. It's just, listen, there's some weird stuff going on. There really is.
Speaking, there was going to be an adrenaline measure that kicks in after you kill.
And if you know, the number 33, the Superman Man of Steel, right here's the
animal, let alone a person, let alone having it be your first kill. And you're like, he just decided to go to DQ. Sit down, write some poetic text messages. It's why
she's crazy, but it's a friend. So, and I feel like I'm going to include this because she posted this about basically having the dead man switch, about sending all these different people legal files, personal text messages related to my time at Turning Point, PragerU, and Daily Wire, plus my private conversations with people like Seth Dillon and Dave Rubin. She's calling out names. So, you know, uh, it's sad that in this day and age you have to do something like this if you feel like you're just trying to cover something. I mean, is Candace, is her emotions tied up all in this? Of course they are. This is personal for her, so she's going to be emotional about it. But there's also probably that side of her that is concerned, because whatever the narrative is about Charlie Kirk's assassination, it's just not adding up to a lot of people about the narrative we're being pushed. Now, I'm going to include this because this is a channel I watch, the Conspiracy Files, sometimes, not on a regular basis, but enough that I saw it today. It was this one, and then I saw the first couple minutes of another video I'm going to show you that I was like, I'm gonna do a shorter version. I'm going to talk about he brought up some things. He actually shared a clip I had not seen, but his 30-second monologue here in the beginning kind of sums it up.
Two shooters and a magic bullet. Those words echo with their simplicity, but when examined together, paint a damning portrait. A picture of a cover-up so bold, so in your face, that it seems almost impossible. But for some people, this theory is more than that. It's a cold, dark reality. Charlie Kirk, to many in America, was a beloved figure. And so naturally, when they watched his publicly televised execution on their phone screens about a month ago, they reacted with pure horror. And immediately, people tried to make sense of what had happened. Who could have wanted Charlie dead? Who was able to pull this thing off? Quickly, the government provided a narrative that's been debunked, but a narrative nonetheless. A young man named Tyler Robinson had seemingly snapped, committed the crime, dumped the evidence.
This is the snap for where we got
near the crime scene, and had texted someone a detailed confession which corroborated every detail that the FBI had presented. It seemed almost too perfect. Well, that's because in the eyes of many people, it was. The FBI's timeline unfolds, as we talked about already in another recent video, with a mechanical precision. At approximately 12:23 and 30 seconds on September 10th, Charlie Kirk...
And this is another thing that I never understood, and nobody has given me a good enough explanation of. They came out and said in their own press release that there was almost 3,000 cameras on this campus. They had just upgraded their camera system, I think, like the year before or something, if my research, again, it's been a few weeks, but something to that effect. It had tons of cameras, okay? But the two pictures that we got of the supposed shooter was this quality. It is literally like they intentionally, look, this grainy stuff right here in this picture. It looks like they intentionally put something over this photo to make it look the worst possible quality you could ask for in order to hide someone's appearance. It was such poor quality. Knowing they had better quality pictures, why was this the ones they released? It made zero sense to me.
Seated on stage, sustains a neck wound from a 30-06 round.
I apologize. It was the way he was filming that. It was still, you could see by the picture, it was still horrible.
Fired by Tyler Robinson from the rooftop roughly 142 yards away. Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old gamer with a family heirloom Mauser Model 98 rifle, allegedly etched anti-fascist slogans on his casings and confessed in messages to his partner about planning the hit amid frustration with Charlie Kirk's hatred.
Okay, so we got that introduction. There's a couple things I want to show you that it's pretty quick. Should just let it play. First is the narrative that we're told about the magic bullet, which, that sounds familiar from somewhere in the 60s. I seem to remember. Anyway.
In ballistic gelatin tests, rounds fired from a 30-06 Springfield penetrate a whopping 20 to 30 inches through the gelatin before exiting, and most of the time, they do exit the gelatin block after penetrating that distance, often with a yawing that creates cavities up to 12 inches wide. So, according to many people online, I talked about this a lot in my last video, if the gun used really was a 30-06, and if the shot really was taken from that distance and really did hit with that precision, the death of Charlie Kirk should have looked a lot different. It should have been horrible. He should have been almost decapitated. I hate to be graphic. It's just the reality. And I've told people many a times, if you know anybody with the 30-06, yeah,
Go get a cow leg, prop it up, shoot it from 150 yards, see what it looks like. So he used it. I'm using it too. This is stuff that has come out about. This is just not making sense. Remember, the narrative is that we're being told now is that the Man of Steel took a bullet, supposed to have hit him like what did they said, the C1 or C2? This red, unfortunately, and it struck him in the throat because remember, it didn't hit his chin. Struck him down here in the throat, but somehow it hit up here. But then once it hit here, it just slid down like a water slide. The bones here of Charlie's was Man of Steel like, and instead of just going through like it would a damn elk from 500 yards away, it slid down like a water slide. Absolutely no thank you. Feel like I'm listening to the Kennedy theories at this point.
All right, guys, so basically a middle school math problem. This isn't that hard to figure out. We know that, according to the medical examiner report, this 30-06 round came in, hit him in the C2, traveled down. All right, you guys are going to notice some huge problems with this right away, but let's go ahead and, just look at this objectively. All right, we got a protractor out. Let's put that right here on the C2. Okay, we do know, again, from where Tyler Robinson was shooting, it was a 9-degree slope with a 9-degree offset, essentially meaning almost directly on at a 9-degree slope, which we can travel out from our protractor from the C2 here at 9 degrees. Perfect. All right.
This is we're into the realm now of the things that do not make sense. The things that they have said to us do not make sense. And that there's smart people on the internet, call them sleuths, call them investigative reporters, citizen journalists. I've seen more citizens do a better job at investigating different crimes than I have seen people with multi-million-dollar budgets sitting in government buildings do. I've witnessed that for the last 8 years of my life. And you know anything about the Chans, you know exactly what I mean, like find the flag. And that should be all I have to say. What they did when they found that flag shows you what people on the internet can do.
Pull the protractor off. What's the first huge glaring issue you guys are going to see here? Oh, well, if Charlie Kirk was sitting level, sort of parallel to the ground with his jaw, which he was, let me show you that real quick. All right, so we can see Charlie Kirk is not got his head all the way back like this. He's sitting pretty much flat, looking at the crowd, sort of jaw parallel to the ground as he gets hit. Boom, hit. So you can see that, right?
And this is another thing that made no sense to me, and I'm willing to listen to any explanation that we're told, and I'm glad he paused it here, but that Charlie was hit in the neck. What is his shirt doing? Why does his entire shirt poof up off of his body? You can see right in through here his shoulder, where it lifted up off his body. Yes, the force of a firearm is strong when it hits you somewhere in this region, but it cleared his shirt and it was up here. Like, then why is his shirt reacting the way that it is? And people can have all their speculations about, I've heard about this mic right here. I've heard about, something from behind. I've heard all kinds of stuff, the trapdoor stuff. I just want to know, this shirt completely lifting away from him makes no sense to me.
It's actually a little bit of a tilt down even, okay? So let's look at this anatomically. All right, this is essentially exactly how Charlie Kirk is sitting. And they want to tell you the medical examiner report confirms he was first hit in the C2 vertebrae right below the base of the skull. Biggest problem I see with that from the angle Tyler Robinson shoots him from is that would have hit him in the teeth or even above the teeth. There is no possible way that this round came from a 9-degree angle and a 9-degree slope and hit the C2 while not blowing through Charlie Kirk's face. It's not a thing. We also can see the C2 is not where that gunshot wound is. I can show you that right here. All right, as you can see here, yeah, he's got some tilt back now after he...
Now, you can go on, and I think that's good enough so far. I'm going to include this because he addresses the people making the claim about body armor. Even though TPUSA has come out and said he had no body armor on, Candace said she talked to people inside TPUSA that said Charlie had no body armor on. You can go look at the clips from that day, and you can, hey, answer it for yourself. Does it look like he has body armor on? You could, I don't see any.
I've seen a bunch of different people talking about now, because of this report, this has to prove that Charlie Kirk had body armor, because again, it's an impossible shot. It's an impossible angle that it didn't hit him in the face, which, okay, that's kind of an interesting theory, but let's talk about that, all right? Now we're talking about body armor, which again is going to be down here on the chest. Again, 9-degree slope. This is still where the shot came from. Here's the entrance wound. Okay, let's talk about the possibility that the bullet refracted off his body armor. First, let's also make sure that we acknowledge it's been disproven he had body armor on. And not only that, TP USA has publicly stated he had no body armor on. So if you're going to operate under the assumption he has body armor on, you are calling TP USA nefarious liars. I'm not prepared to do that, because why would they purposefully lie?
Okay,
PUS about a 30-06 round, okay? A 30-06 round that supposedly comes down, hits him in the body armor, which, by the way, if he had body armor on so small that you couldn't see it through that tiny little shirt, it wouldn't be strong enough to stop a 30-06 round to begin with. But we're in hypothetics here. That then, okay, this almost makes me laugh doing this. That then refracts off the body armor, comes all the way up here at a 90-degree angle to hit this C2, and then re-refracts straight back down, down to the T1.
Does that sound ridiculous to you? I'll let you decide.
The really popular theory that Rob O'Neill just talked about, Range Day Bros talked about, a lot of people have talked about, which I have not discounted at all, have talked about him being shot from up and behind him.
This is important what he said behind, because there's a clip in this guy's video that the one I'm talking I've never seen. That's interesting.
This is very interesting, because this actually, besides one little piece, which is that they found around inside of him, this actually potentially makes the medical examiner report work with the injury and ballistics that all potentially work. Let's take a look at that. The C2 is going to be just behind the jaw there, as we've seen it, right? Now, if he gets shot from the back upper right, and again, we don't know what that angle would be, because this is all hypothetical, right? We don't know where that shooter was, but anywhere you would think around the way the buildings were, they're all about that height, anywhere from like a 10 to maybe 15-degree angle here. Now, all of a sudden, if he's getting shot in the back right of the head, that,
And it's weird to me why he didn't kind of turn this around to show you guys like kind of what he's talking about here. So what the heck is that? Okay, so let's just do this, right? So basically the theory is that if you're going to say that he was shot up here, you know, at the base of the neck, like right into here, that it would make sense, because if the shot came and hit him here, the exit wound would have been out the front of his neck somewhere. I think that's what he's going to say, but the look of it the look of it this way is kind of weird. Sorry about my drawing. Listen, I can draw with charcoal and pencils, but yeah, not with Zoom.
it comes beneath the skull, anatomically, this actually works. It comes in the back underneath his skull, hits him in the C2, and then blows out at a normal refraction angle exactly where we expect.
Yeah, 3304. I don't know why he didn't use 3330. This way that he's trying to say it. Like, see what I mean? By like, if you were to say they're trying to say he was sent it as like a C2 or whatever, if he was shot down and it hit there, it would have made sense that it came out there. That's why he's saying it more fits the narrative, right? But what they're trying to say.
Anatomically, to have created that initial impact into the C2. It probably blows down here through the C4.
Yeah, so there's that. That's where they're saying that kind of comes into play. Now, it'll make sense why I backed up and waited to show you this, because I wanted to show you that other part first, okay? So,
Completely different story of what may have happened that day. Just take a look at this.
My understanding from speaking with a couple of people high up at Turning Point USA, they let me know that the injury took place right below the jaw in the C2. The bullet crashed through C2 all the way through C7. And then they found the bullet lodged in that meaty area around T1, the thoracic first vertebrae.
I confirmed, obviously, because I have connections, and I confirmed that the autopsy was done. I don't want to say too much, but the autopsy yielded where the entry wound was and how the bullet killed him. It's already been determined. They found a bullet lodged in his body. They can tell you exactly where, what was severed, what killed him, where the bullet traveled from his neck down through his body. They have it all, fragmentation of the round that spouted through.
And this is, if you don't know who this is Brandon Tatum, who's, was a law enforcement officer. Like, that's what's crazy to me, is listening to some people, these narratives. Like, you would think he knows enough about firearms to know that a 30-06 just magically gets stopped by, a neck bone. But this is what makes the stuff even crazier to listen to, right? So I think that was interesting, more about what the first guy said about how it was underneath this. They're telling him it was underneath the jaw line. That was crazy to me.
The jaw in the C2.
He does the jaw. That's crazy. He adds this in. I'm going to add it in too, because it's interesting.
Shockingly, though, Kirk's assassination has some disturbing historical parallels. For example, on April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, while standing on the balcony. He also was struck by a single 30-06 round fired from a Remington Model 760 Game Master rifle. Allegedly, we know that that's not true, but according to the story, fired by James Earl Ray from a boarding house across the street, approximately 200 to 300 feet away. The bullet entered the right.
And there's so much about MLK's story, about Reverend Jackson changing the rooms last minute, adamant that he should be the only one in the room. Like, it's a whole thing with his death. It's just as weird as Kennedy's.
Side of Dr. King's face, fracturing the mandible, and traveled downward through the neck, damaging multiple blood vessels, including the jugular and subclavian arteries, and severing the spinal cord at the lower cervical/upper thoracic level before lodging in the left shoulder area. The trajectory was front to back, right to left, and slightly downward, seemingly consistent with the shooter's elevated position. The autopsy at the time, conducted by a Dr. Jerry Francisco, the Shelby County medical examiner, confirmed that the fatal wound caused immediate paralysis due to spinal cord transection and led to death from hemorrhagic shock due to severe blood loss from damaged vessels. A single bullet was recovered from the body, with no evidence of multiple fragments or unusual ballistic behavior beyond the expected effects. The injury would likely have caused quadriplegia if Dr. King had survived.
It's just weird.
And here again lies an anomaly. A high-velocity 30-06 round fired from across the street executed a near 90-degree redirection inside of Martin Luther King Jr.'s body, fragmenting without ever leaving his body. Its remnants contained
another Man of Steel, just so y'all know,
wholly within MLK Jr.'s body and his clothing. This defied clean penetration expectations and once again harkens forward to Charlie Kirk's lodged round. And
just found that kind of interesting. Thought it was worth it, just, adding that little piece. It reminds me of somebody else. Doesn't make any dadgum sense. Okay, this is from the Range Day Bro. He had mentioned him in that previous video, the one that was showing us the trajectory. He brought him up, so he had done this clip. I wanted to show this part.
Charlie Kirk wasn't shot with a 30-06.
To further illustrate how ludicrous the official narrative was, Special Operator Valhalla VFT shot actual steel plates from 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch, even 1/2 inch steel plates with 30-06. None of them stood a chance, and neither did Charlie Kirk's spine. And there are a ton of theories of what actually happened to Charlie Kirk, but we must be very careful because these are designed to muddy the waters and create confusion and sow division amongst the community looking for.
And that's important to remember as well, for sure. Now, I wanted to give my respect to this channel. I'm going to let him say what his theory is, his most likely scenario of what happened.
Kirk was shot, and that is, and I maintain, still from his back right, entering at the bottom of his hairline, striking his spinal column and brainstem, before exiting out the front left side of his throat, piercing the skin, leaving a hole or a blood spot on the shirt, and then potentially being seen traveling through his knees. Please allow me to elaborate.
See what traveling through his knees, and then so all the people that watched him cover up the grass with those pavers and change that whole area out there. what was going on. I have no idea why they would do
Before we
that.
move on to the rest of the story, as you can see from these freeze frames shown, again, nothing graphic, you can see in this frame at the moment of impact, Charlie's neck experiences what we call the temporary wound cavity, where his neck and chest area grow in size by 8 to 12 inches from being impacted by a high velocity rifle round, most likely a 5.56. This extremely violent and fast expansion can be seen when slowed down to 10,000 frames per second on this ballistic gelatin test by ballistic high speed. You can see the gel balloon out as Charlie's neck and chest does. That violent expansion is what leads to the shirt puffing out in a 360-degree direction around.
See, that makes it. I've always tried to figure out what happened. Why did his shirt puff out? It made no sense to
Charlie's
me.
head and neck. That expansion is also what sends Charlie's necklace rocketing up towards the left side of his face. And since that cross has the most mass out of everything on that necklace, it lingers by his face longer than the rest of the chain, of which has snapped and the right side has escaped his collar, sending it back past his right ear and over his head, as can be seen from multiple different angles. And as you'll notice, the microphone has not gone anywhere, neither has the magnet which attaches it, which completely disproves the possibility of that being an explosive device.
Yeah, so there's what he thinks the best case scenario is for what. Again, I'm glad I had to pause it here because I want to show this. This is another one of these situations where something sinks to high heaven. I'll tell you what, I'll just show
Back.
it.
At this point in time, this camera angle gives us
This dude almost topples over a table on top of everybody to slide across the table to do absolutely nothing but grab something from the other guy and run around. This dude's pointing at something other, like dude. I don't think he's handing anything. I think he's pointing because
some insight into the
they said there was a pass off, but I see his hand here. I don't see anything in his hand. But look, this dude. They also say he had almost like recording Ray-Bans where he clicked it right here is like start recording. I don't know if he started recording or stopping recording, but he definitely does hit has the wherewithal while all this is going on to reach up to his sunglasses to click either to record or don't record. But that's crazy to me.
the things that his security team were doing, which are very
strange.
He appears to be starting a recording on his Ray-Ban Meta glasses. There are some strange handoffs happening here, as well as the ground Charlie was carried across has no bloodstains on it.
And that was another thing. If you look
Or
here,
drips.
if you saw the actual incident, I hope that you didn't, but if you did, the massive blood loss. Like, where was all this blood? Like, when they were carrying him, he's still going to be, this is immediately they pick him up, carry him to the car. Where was the trail?
Charlie is then loaded in the SUV and
Look.
rushed off to the hospital, where
Look, the cop gonna stop him from following him.
he was later pronounced dead.
I mean, okay.
It is later revealed from this EMS communication that
They're saying now that there was an autopsy, just so everyone's clear. But care about all. They're saying that there was one done.
signed the death certificate with the Vice President J.D. Vance. But let's take a step back to the crime scene.
This is what's nuts to me. You got people walking out in the middle of a crime scene because everybody's so scared for their life because they don't know where the shooter is. There's some one old dude that, again, Mr. Distraction and himself, get me, I did it, shoot me. Like, yeah, okay. This dude walks right up there and just starts ripping hats up off the table to fling them out to people. Like, who does that?
As we've already
This person
discussed, people are
does.
all over it,
Look.
contaminating it, moving things and
Right when that happened, here's him leading them. Why didn't they tape off this crime scene?
taking things that should have been looked through.
And you have, again, I told you earlier, this moron taking the actual chair that Charlie died in and using it as a prop to stand up and get the SD
With a
stuff.
fine-tooth comb. Not
Is this not a crime scene?
to mention that just a few hours later, the university had started
And
construction
this.
on the exact area where Charlie was sitting, and a whole bunch of other stuff that is either
And they started covering up like the crime scene stuff. Like, that to me is crazy. They even moved these flower pots that are over there by the waterfall. Ian Carroll caught that. And apparently replaced some of these tiles up underneath this for whatever reason. Ian said that they replaced some of those tiles up under here. But look at all this work going on right after this. And what are we doing here? What is going on here?
the university had started construction on the exact area where Charlie was sitting, and a whole bunch of other stuff that is either extremely coincidental or proof that we live in a simulation. But please don't pay attention to any of that. Now back to the narrative. He is then caught on camera sprinting.
See, and what is this person doing? Weird to me. It's weird too that they're just panning across the windows like that
Across the
when all
Losi
this
Center
is
rooftop
happening.
as everybody is just beginning to duck. Meanwhile, a man who has ties to 9/11 and the Boston Marathon bombing
In
stands
the Boston Marathon, it was another bomb threat that he was a part of, and then another, I think, marathon. But yeah, again, and then they find CSAM on his phone. That's not the obvious.
ends up and starts saying, I shot him, shoot me, shoot me. He is subsequently arrested and they conveniently find CP on his computer, so he will never talk. Then the FBI releases some CCTV footage of somebody running across the rooftop of the Lucy Center, but you don't see them laying down or taking the shot or disassembling a rifle or changing their clothes or any of the other things that they allege. Also, there's some really weird stuff going on in this video where you can see that the shadow is there and then it disappears on the white part of the rooftop. What? Then they're also alleging that he is carrying the rifle. You could see some kind of sweater, but it does not appear to be a long gun. Also, pedestrians are just disappearing in the background. There's a lot of weird things going on with this.
Yeah, there's weird stuff because this person is walking and then they just like
video. Also, there's nobody seen panicking and running from the scene, which is just a few yards away. You can see him there crossing the road, and it was made to seem that he hid the rifle somewhere in some neighborhood that was not very close to the shooting scene. But as you can see, the rifle was just across the street. Why would he hide it so close to the scene of the shooting? Conveniently, the FBI has very high resolution photos of them finding things like zip ties and a carabiner, but they don't have a high resolution photo of the murder weapon itself. But in the
he's picking up what I'm putting down. I don't understand the crappy photos. We're in 2025, and it looks like they took these pictures on a 2002 Sidekick. Like, it just is crazy.
Photo, we notice immediately the scope is mounted improperly. There's no bipod. Anyways, moving on, don't ask too many questions. He then stops for a quick ice cream at DQ, because who doesn't like a quick blizzard after shooting somebody in the neck? Here's the distance that is from the university. Again, makes total.
There's a Dairy Queen. I'm glad they did this too. University Place. There's Costco. There's like, so we're up here at the Dairy Queen.
Sense. In later discovered text messages, he's allegedly
drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard. This is another thing that's crazy. The roommate looked under the keyboard, found a note that stated, I had the opportunity to check out Charlie Kirk. I'm going to take it. What? Are you joking? Then supposedly they allowed this Twizzler dude destroys said note, but not before he takes a picture of it on his phone. So they have a screen grab of the note, but the note itself is destroyed. Does that make sense to anyone? Do you know how much easier it would be to hide a piece of paper, put a piece of paper somewhere where nobody could find it, rather than put it on your digital device? Like, this is where the stuff is like does not make sense. Yeah, and I will add again, yeah, these messages are like exactly what you would do if you wanted to type out something that says, it was me, look nowhere else, I did it, but don't tell anyone, we will keep it secret. I'm just texting you everything a person needs to convict me. Like 4.0. Okay. Now this is the second video this is where I stopped and was like, okay, I'm going to do this. This was actually from 2 days ago, but I had just seen it. This is weird. And I'll just let it go.
Headlong into a permanent surveillance state in the United States, something disturbing has come to light surrounding the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Days before that event, Israel reportedly signed a $4 million contract with a California firm called Show Faith by Works. Now, according to new reporting by investigative journalist Brian Ferentz, that same company was behind what they described as the largest Christian geofencing campaign in U.S. history. After the memorial, even Turning Point's Andrew Colvett openly admitted this on the Jesse Waters show, that their tech partners had tracked more than 270,000 phones in and around the stadium. Watch.
Break a little bit of news on your program, Jesse. Our partners that do sort of geotagging with devices,
partners that do geotagging. Why are you tagging Christians?
Told us that they tracked over 277,000 devices in the vicinity of State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Wow. 277,000. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of humanity out there. But
yeah, but it also gives you the scale of something darker. Like, how do you know that number? Did these people consent to that? Just so you understand, people who came to the event to mourn Charlie Kirk were digitally tagged under the label of outreach. I'm going to reach out to these people afterwards. And at the same time, reports suggest that Charlie had rejected an enormous financial offer connected to foreign interests, sparking internal turmoil at Turning Points USA. more of that story, I'm sure, will come out. Was this data tracking campaign?
That's just weird because, and whenever he said that, it reminded me of something else I had saw the other day. Okay, I don't know. Again, this is separate from. I think I don't know if you can separate it. This I'm gonna kind of caveat this off outside of we've covered kind of Charlie's assassination. This is another strange thing that's going on though. It just is weird. Okay, so I just talked to you about where they admitted that they have the geofencing, right? Basically, they were tracking everybody that showed up to the memorial. Here it is, the TPUSA, the Superfeed Technologies. I think this is important because this guy goes into kind of like what's behind that company. It's a foreign company, and they're making all kinds of these apps for conservatives, for Scott Pressler, I think he says, like
say Superfeed Technologies, which is a company created as a foreign for-profit company in Arizona.
Wait a minute, it's a foreign for-profit company that's running all of these apps?
The filing is actually listed there. I think I might have sent it to your producer. I have it handy as well. But it lists the directors, and it mentions it's a foreign for-profit company. And they're basically making the apps for Turning Point, the apps for Scott Pressler's Early Vote Action, several GOP groups, and any ballot chasing. Yeah, there it is. You can see at the top, it's a little bit blurry there, but that's off of the Arizona Corporate Commission website. It used to be called a different name.
To me, where is the list of where the foreign country is? Like, I looked on here and I was like, this is Arizona. This is Arizona. That says Delaware is the domicile. Delaware is, pretty lackadaisy, by the way, on some of their laws. There's a lot of reason why people use Delaware. But it says right here, foreign for profit. Well, foreign where? Shouldn't they have to list this?
But Superfeed
It
Technologies.
formed in 2019, by the way, apparently, Superfeed Technologies. So it's a pretty new company.
And you can see not only is Tyler Boyer mentioned there, who was the COO of Turning Point Action. I believe he's now the CEO of Turning Point Action, which Charlie Kirk used to hold that position. But also Erica Kirk's mother, Lori, I forget the pronunciation, but it's Lori Frensiv or something like that. She's listed on the board of directors of Superfeed Technologies.
So she's listed on the board of directors for this company. Erica's mother is, which maybe she has some history background in how to know how to create and develop apps. Maybe she can write code. I don't know. And I just wanted to show you this. These are some of the apps that they've made. Moms for America, Team Michigan, Conservative News America, the Patriot Project. You only assume that he says that when you sign up, you agree that your email go to like third parties and shit. We already know that they're using it as a geo tracker, Turning Point USA. This is the people building their apps. Like, what's going? Are these people aware of it? There's Turning Point right there.
So basically, if you personally, anybody watching right now has downloaded any of these apps, what happens to your data?
Well, it depends specifically on the app. But if you look between the Google Play Store and then in iTunes, it says the different privacy and what is released. And in some of them, it says by downloading it, you agree to their privacy policy and you give license to share your email address, your location, your app usage, your phone MEI, your unique identifier. And then there's a couple other items in there that varies from app to platform. But basically, that's all the geofencing data. That's exactly what they need to know who you are, who your known associates are, where you go, what you do. Think about taking an Uber app that's saying the time when you...
It's a tracking device. Just say what it is. It can track you. But this led me into this other thing that I saw. Now, this was in the same video. I spruced it at this clip. This is where you get into me as a Christian. It just feels dirty to me to intentionally target Christians to try and influence them. I don't like it. I don't like it. And it says was released by the Times of Israel. It says campaign documents detail plans for geofencing, a technique to target ads to worshipers' phones within specific geographical boundaries around churches and Christian campuses in California, Nevada, Arizona, and Colorado. The firm has pledged to recruit pastors to write op-eds. What do you think that means? They're going to go in and try to influence pastors to write articles and distribute pastoral resource packages by mail. They're going to hire social media influencers and produce television-style commercials and to tour a branded trailer exhibit featuring tents, virtual reality headsets, and kiosks designed to, and it goes on. These tents and stuff are going to show like the images and stuff and videos from October 7th. Like, I just find it, this is our ally, by the way. I find that, I don't like it. I found it disgusting. I don't like it when anybody does it. This is the show by faith works. Israel's plan to win back Christians, according to new FAR filings. So I'm going to take you now because I'm going to give flowers where they're due to where I first saw this. What made me think of this other video. Okay, I don't think it would be complete either without Ian Carroll. He actually is showing a clip again from that Rangebro guy. You can't see him here, but he's sitting right here with this other guy. Rangebro guy was like, I think, a Green Beret. This other guy, and they bring up something that I had never even thought about. And this is, I think, the intention is you're flung so much information, you miss the obvious. And what they're playing right now is wanting you to pay close attention to the bodyguards who immediately are there to secure Charlie and to treat Charlie. Most anybody in security at least has first aid training. Most of them are ex-military. They know how to administer first aid, especially been in the military. You know how to do it on the combat field, whatever. But they're pay attention to the security guards and watch their hands.
Just watch their hands, right?
I completely missed this obvious issue.
Right. All these guys are supposed to be treating Charlie Kirk. He just got shot in the throat, in the carotid. As we watch this. The guy there.
So you're watching their hands, right?
Also, this dude right here, it looks like he smiled, is weird to me.
Watch the hands of the bodyguards and see if you can figure out what we're talking about here.
In the center. We'll see in a second.
See him right here? Like, what is that?
So we've seen the hands of the guy on the left and the guy on the right.
His hands there.
There's the guy in the middle.
No one has blood on them anywhere. Handy.
Did you hear that? Nate said no one has blood on them anywhere. And listen.
Like, how in the world did I even miss that? Like, if you saw the video, Charlie immediately lost a massive amount of blood in front of his throat. Like, it was run down the shirt. It was bad. So you're showing up. What's the first thing you do? First aid training is to stop the bleeding, cover the wound. You rip off the tablecloth, you take off your shirt, whatever, you try and pack the wound. And yet none of these people have any blood on them. I'm going to have to try and go find this video because I don't even know where I saw it. But it was a video shot it looked like you could see further back here, and there's strange anomalies that happen in that video as well.
I'm not trained to treat gunshot wounds. I have a fair bit of wilderness first responder training, certainly no training to deal with gunshot wounds, but you don't have to have a very high level of medical training to know that the first thing you do with a wound is apply pressure directly to the wound. And if that's a gunshot wound, particularly in the neck, particularly with any type of arterial bleeding, you're trying to pack that wound as tight and fast as humanly possible with direct pressure applied with both hands. And there's really no way around it. There is no other option, and there's no.
Yeah, the no blood thing on their hands is weird. Something else I'll just tell you I found strange is like this dude. Let me make sure this is. Let me recheck before I say something. Okay, I jumped over to his video. That's what I was trying to pause to do. The Valhalla VFT guy, because he actually has a video of this. And shout out to all the amazing people that got this video. This is what I'm talking about, how they completely changed the crime scene. It is just so weird. Look.
It's shot. They make a perip, it's no one's walking up and taking something off the table. That was super, super weird to me.
And not just that, but then immediately what happens? The fucking university paving over the
See what
area.
I mean? By look, they're even replacing these tiles and stuff. Like, what is going on? What is going on?
Like what? This is still a crime scene in my opinion.
God, it makes no sense to me.
Look at that. Completely paved over the entire crime scene. So to me, that's
just weird. It's just all these things piled on top of each other does not help stamp out, confusion and conspiracy. It gets worse. It gets worse.
basket. Okay. So also it gets even weirder with this Dairy Queen.
By the way, George Webb just reportedly showed that it has a close sign now. It's been removed. This Dairy Queen has just vanished. Watch.
Well, we're at 1545. Is that a Dairy Queen sign? Interestingly enough, looks like it's been totally taken apart.
Okay.
That's strange.
Yeah, that's strange. In the location where Charlie Kirk was.
So they just shut down the Dairy Queen and take it apart? Like, what is going on, folks? Now, save me time so I don't have to go actually through a video. They had played this clip, which is what I was talking about earlier about the narrative shift.
Completely changed.
Most interest to me, what I've learned is that his father does not believe, his parents don't believe that their son committed this crime. I was like, huh? Excuse me? That's a far cry from what the media has been telling us. Remember, the media presented this amazing story. The father realized his son was guilty, so it goes, right? And then he phoned over a friend to help him convince his son to turn himself in, because this guy, this mysterious guy was a friend and just had a connection with Tyler. And eventually they said, you got to do the right thing here. We know this is you. That was the vibe. Certainly that's what the media was putting down for us to pick up. Well, I was told actually that it was kind of the opposite. That quote unquote family friend, who we learned was a former detective with the police force, informed the family. It was that in-between person that informed the family that Tyler had been identified as the shooter. He recognized him. He knows Tyler. He gives them the heads up. And then I'm told, and I believe this, that the way in which he got arrested, or rather turned himself in, was because that family friend / neighbor / former detective told him, hey, it's best for you to turn yourself in because there's only one of two options here. Either you turn yourself in and everything is peaceable, or the SWAT team could come in here and arrest you and things would get crazy.
All right. So those of you who, again,
remember the narrative that was pushed. It was all, remember what I showed you the governor in the very beginning saying like, oh, he admitted to or implied that. Like, that's what this is. None of this makes sense. So now we get to the part to where in the other video about the geo-tracking, this is where I saw Ian talking about it first, actually, the geo-fencing. This is where I saw him discuss this. And I was like, this is why I backtracked over here.
With the frickin', okay. There we go. So, and you can see the foreign principle. Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Show Faith by Works, LLC. Registrant number 7653. So, we can search by active registrants and Show Faith by Works, LLC. There we are. Okay. I don't know. Oh, it's because I applied 2 filters is what. Their file by Works, LLC is probably new.
Yeah, look at the
And
date.
here you have-
It's filed on the 27th of September.
We have all of these individual names.
Of all these, they've listed all the churches they're going to target. They've listed them. They're talking about the people they want to hire, Hollywood coordinator, pastors. They give ideas about the youth pastor. Like, that's where they're coming. They're coming for the Christian community to try and, to make them their, mouthpieces about the narrative they're trying to push. And they've got very detailed and kind of what that agenda is. But yeah, they go through and list like all the churches. It's so that's happening too. That and because that people are kind of mixing these two, and I just want to be clear. Like I'm sure everybody tries to push an agenda, but it's just weird that TPUSA got in bed with a company that the spokesperson for TPUSA happily admitted there was a geofence used at his memorial service where they tracked 277,000 Christians. Like, again, I'm sure these people had no idea that was happening. I wanted to make sure I threw this in as well.
Video of the patsy George Zinn, who was arrested while creating the diversion amid Charlie Kirk's assassination, recounts how he knew Al-Qaeda was responsible for the 9/11 attacks the moment he saw the towers fall. So everyone thought this guy was the killer at the start. Kind of wild that this old man, George Zinn, created a perfect distraction that allowed the shooter to escape. Drum roll, please. Yes, he's Jewish.
Now, all you conspiracy theorists out there, I don't want you going crazy, but what are the odds that George Zinn, the patsy that was arrested at the Charlie Kirk assassination, also saw 9/11, he saw the planes fly into the buildings and called that in and reported it, and then he also called in a fake terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon bombing.
What? Not at the Boston Marathon, was after it, Salt Lake City, but...
And just so happened to get arrested at Charlie Kirk's event. So Tess Keyser, she responded to this tweet and she says, Grok is a guy really involved in all three events like this post claims. And Grok fact checks it and goes, based on a review of multiple sources, George Zinn was a witness to the 9/11 attacks and he described seeing planes hit the towers. He was also arrested in 2013 for emailing a bomb threat joke to the Salt Lake City Marathon shortly after the Boston bombing.
Right there it says it, to the emailed a quote bomb joke to Salt Lake City a marathon shortly after the Boston bombing. So there you go.
Pled guilty to a terrorism.
He pled guilty to a terrorism charge and got probation, by the way.
Charge and somehow magically
sounds like Manson, but
he received probation. He was also detained and questioned as a person of interest at the Charlie Kirk assassination on September 10th, 2025, but released without charges relating to the shooting. Then Grok went on and made sure that it told you there is no credible evidence that supports claims of his involvement in 9/11's false flag, facilitating Kirk's deaths, or Mossad ties. The main suspect in Kirk's killing is now Tyler Robinson, and he is in custody. So I asked Grok to break this one down for us, and it says so, and it wouldn't give me an answer first. It's impossible to calculate. Well, I said use statistical probability and give me a ballpark stat on the probability of him being at all three major events. And it goes through here and it breaks it down. Then we get down here to the very bottom where it combines the probability right here, combined probability. And it says it is equal to 0.705% or 5 times 10 to the power of 8. That translates to approximately 1 in 2 billion. Does all of that?
1 in 2 billion chance he would have been involved that many times in something like that. There you go. All right, I think that's it. God only knows how long this video is going to be. I tried to shorten it down. To be fair, the other one was 6.5 hours. I could keep going on. A lot of speculation's been brought up, a lot of conspiracies, a lot of people questioning this. And I think there's good reason people are questioning it because it does not make sense. Some of the things that we're being told just does not add up. And yeah, I'll let you draw your own conclusions. But till then, thanks for hanging out, stopping by. Leave me a comment if there's anything else you guys want me to kind of cover, give you my take on. Anyway, yeah, appreciate it. Have a good one.